welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about the growing economic powerhouse Vietnam and why it's not your grandfather's Vietnam anymore. So, background: Vietnam has experienced remarkable economic growth since the 1990s, transforming from a centrally planned economy to one of the fastest growing economies in the world. This growth has been characterized by significant reforms, integration into the global economy, integration into the SWIFT banking system, and in, and robust infrastructure development such as highways, bridges, new schools, new facilities. Everything is new basically because they're just starting to build it now. Here are the numbers to prove it. Now, this is the GDP growth from Vietnam, China, India, Philippines, and Indonesia from 2018 to 2020. And each year, Vietnam had a higher GDP growth than China, India, Philippines, and Indonesia. And if you look at the GDP growth during COVID-19 or 2020, Vietnam was one of very few countries that actually was able to maintain a positive GDP growth even during COVID, while India had negative 7% GDP growth in the same time. Philippines had negative 9% GDP growth, and then Indonesia had negative 2 uh, percentage, negative 2% GDP growth in 2020. So Vietnam's GDP is growing exponentially and one of the highest and fastest growing economies in Asia for, we'll say, close to the past 7 years, routinely scoring in the top two or three. Now, Vietnam becoming the next Singapore or business hub of Asia. Vietnam's economic growth from 2018 to 2020 was indeed among the highest in Asia, although it may have not been the highest across all Asian countries during that period. Definitely Southeast Asia. Comparing these figures, Vietnam's GDP growth rates were consistently high in 2018 and 2019. And despite the global economic challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, through great economic policies such as raising checking account interest to 10 to 15% with the Vietnam Dong to maintain the stabilization of the currency was a brilliant idea and the right one. And Despite obviously challenges by COVID-19, Vietnam still managed to maintain positive growth, all of it at a lower rate compared to previous years, but still better than a lot of countries did during COVID-19, which is amazing. Where it all started, and analysis of the economic juggernaut known as Vietnam. So Vietnam has implemented economic reforms known as Doi Moi or renovation, transitioning from a centrally planned economy to a socialist oriented market economy. Honestly, I would say capitalism, I would say Vietnam has a more pure form of capitalism than in the United States, to be honest, through my experience living here. This shift unleashed rapid economic growth, with Vietnam consistently achieving high GDP growth rates. For instance, in the 1990s, Vietnam's GDP growth averaged around 7% annually. And by the 2000s, so 2000, 2010, it accelerated to about 8% annually. In recent years, Vietnam has continued to be one of the fastest growing economies globally. According to the World Bank, Vietnam's GDP growth rate averaged 6.5% annually from 2015 to 2019, some of the highest in all of Asia. In 2020, like we said, despite all of the global economic challenges due to COVID-19, Vietnam still was able to post a positive growth and one of the highest in Asia for the year 2020. Now, infrastructure projects and necessary projects being built, obviously, to attract more large companies or corporations. So infrastructure development and business environment. Vietnam has also majorly focused on building essential infrastructure to support its economic growth and attract large multinational companies. Key infrastructure projects include highways, airports, seaports, and industrial zones. This investment, along with very strict money laundering laws, very strict, as well as other key financial laws that are being enforced, such as protection of intellectual property, and there's no more of the guys coming over to the business and trying to get some extra money, kind of a little bit of a light extortion back in the 80s and stuff. That's all gone now. To promote business is coming to Vietnam to show that they're serious. So this investment in infrastructure has enhanced connectivity, logistics, and the overall business environment, making Vietnam an attractive destination for foreign direct investment. The Vietnamese government has actively pursued policies to improve the ease of doing business and attract FDI. These efforts have resulted in Vietnam becoming a preferred manufacturing hub in Asia, particularly in electronics, textiles, and footwear industries. So, like, they got Jordan footwear factories, Adidas factories. Um, Apple is showing interest in coming here. Samsung is interested in coming here. And the presence of multinational companies like Samsung, Intel, LG Electronics, Jordan, Nike underscores Vietnam appeal as a manufacturing and export base. Now, it's time to move on from our grandfather stories that, oh, the Vietnamese are violent and out to get you and all scary. It's all bullshit, guys. It's over. Okay. Honestly, Americans should not be scared to come visit here. Times have changed, and the Vietnamese people are down to earth, and probably the most nonviolent people in Asia, in my opinion, with a strong centralized government that basically there's no gangs here in Vietnam, to be honest. And all the gangs are basically gone. And now Vietnam actually ranks one of the highest. Now, when asked if your country is doing better now than 20 years ago, Vietnam essentially ranked the highest for people being happy that their country is improving. So they basically had a high percentage of people say this is like the best time in Vietnam history economically. Whereas if you look at like America or Canada or Switzerland, it's actually going the other way. They think that it's getting worse and that in the past was better and right now in the present is actually worse. So and Americans, I promise you will be welcomed with open arms. And here are the statistics to prove my point. By the way, super strict gun laws here. No guns at all privately, so don't worry, you're safe. Now, statistics of safety and security for foreigners. Vietnam is generally considered safe for foreigners and one of the best highest ranked, safest countries for single women travelers. So now, with low levels of violent crime, according to the Global Peace Index, Vietnam ranks 53rd out of 163 countries, indicating a relatively peaceful environment. The country has a strong focus on maintaining public safety and security, ensuring that both residents and visitors feel secure. Now, the happiness and quality of life in Vietnam. Vietnam is consistently ranked high in global happiness surveys. The World Happiness Report 2021 ranked Vietnam 79th out of 149 countries, reflecting a relatively high level of happiness among its population. Factors contributing to this include economic stability, social cohesion, cultural values, and the emphasis on community and family. And jobs are available. Everyone can find work. And minimum wage was actually just increased recently, I think by 15 or 20%. Now, let's see here. Education achievements. Uh, uh, Vietnam's education system has also seen significant improvements, particularly in student performance and international assessments. Vietnamese students have achieved high rankings in math, and science test scores globally. For example, in the Program for International Student Assessment PISA rankings, Vietnam students consistently place among the top 15 in the world in math and science scores, highlighting the country's commitment to education and academic excellence and STEM teaching methodology or STEM lessons. So why many for see Vietnam as a retirement hub out of any other country, really? Number one, safety and security. As I said, Vietnam's very safe, no guns. Everyone's very nice. Worst thing that might happen is you might get your phone robbed. That's it, honestly. You're even safe in the countryside. Everyone's very welcoming. Don't worry, okay? Now, healthcare. I would say Vietnam probably has the best hospitals in Southeast Asia. I had an appendix removal that was done for 800 US dollars, and within a couple months, I was perfectly fine, healed up. So honestly, if I had to compare like Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam has the best Wi-Fi connectivity and the best hospitals, quality and price-wise. Also, like I said, locals are very friendly, and most people under 40 understand English, so you shouldn't have any issues communicating with the locals. Modern amenities, yeah, listen, guys, it's not like your grandpa's Vietnam. They basically have all of the modern stuff any other first world country has. So, major cities in Vietnam have modern amenities such as shopping malls, international schools, entertainment venues, and reliable internet connectivity, ensuring a comfortable lifestyle for retirees accustomed to urban conveniences in their home country. They have so many new buildings and houses with all the same amenities you would find in any American home. They have all the major fast food restaurants, and there's even Amazon Lazada, which is amazing, and you can really order anything online. It's shipped fast and easy within the same day or a couple days, and usually the fee is like $1 or $2 for delivery. Also, food delivery. For example, if you spend 20, you only got to pay $1.50, $2 for shipping. Okay. And also, there's no tipping culture. So you don't have to tip every delivery, cafe, pizza restaurant. There's no tipping. Okay. Also, the price you see in the stores, there's no extra tax added. The price you see is what you pay. And also, too, Vietnam, because they upgraded their plumbing system, it's now basically on equal par to any first world country, to be honest. Okay. Now, jail rate among foreigners in Vietnam. I understand most Americans or similar first world countries have an idea of Vietnam as some strict country that will go after foreigners or think of like ways to imprison them. You are wrong, wrong, wrong. And here are the stats to prove the police and government police are very tolerant and very easy to talk to and work with. They are much better than American police and always do their best to help in a friendly way. Reality on the ground in Vietnam. Most legal issues involving tourists in Vietnam are minor, such as visa overstays, traffic violation, minor disputes, which are typically handled with fines or warnings rather than imprisonment. Just to give you an example, out of a million tourists who come to Vietnam, less than 0.1% are ever jailed. And if they are jailed, then it's for a serious crime, obviously, okay? But out of a million people, less than 0.1% are actually going to jail. Okay. Now, conclusion. Vietnam has undergone significant transformation since the economic reforms of the 1990s, involving into one of Asia's fastest growing economies with robust infrastructure development and a thriving business environment. Its GDP growth rates have been consistently impressive, attracting multinational companies and investors alike. Despite its rapid development, Vietnam remains a safe destination for tourists from countries like USA and beyond. The country boasts a relatively low crime rate, ensuring a secure environment for visitors to explore its rich and cultural heritage, scenic landscapes, and vibrant cities. Vietnam's cost effective living, very cheap, 3 times cheaper in the US for like food and stuff. Diverse climate, welcoming locals, further enhance its appeal as a retirement and tourist destination. With improving healthcare facilities, modern amenities, and growing expatriate community, Vietnam offers a compelling mix of affordability, safety, and cultural experiences that make it increasingly popular among international travelers seeking to discover its unique charm and opportunities.